Hey guys, on today's episode of the INTOCHANGE podcast, I'm going to be talking about a concept called external validation. Now, for me, external validation was the reason that I was using drugs, drinking alcohol all the time and partying, and also womanizing. And I'm sure that a lot of you guys can probably connect with that too. What external validation is looking for praise from external sources because we don't know how to give it to ourselves. So for me, it was getting as high as I could, fucking as many girls as I could, and then going and bragging about it to my friends because they made me feel like I was the man for it. So once you understand external validation and how damaging it can be, it will completely change your life as it did for mine. Enjoy. This started for me at a very young age. I didn't feel like I belonged, so I looked for any way that I could. So there was some guys that were working at my work at the time which were smoking weed, and I thought, hey, that's cool, maybe I can do that. And I was about 14 or 15 at the time, and so I started smoking a bit of weed. Gateway drug, right? That's where it starts. So I did this for a few years, actually from about 15 through till about 19. And, you know, I felt like I belonged. I was getting what I needed. So when I was with the boys, I was smoking weed, I was feeling good. Once again, it comes back to that external validation. I couldn't feel good with myself. I couldn't make myself feel good, so I looked for an external way to make myself feel good. So it started with the pot, and then it moved on to obviously alcohol and also ice. So ice or methamphetamine. This is where things took a real turn for the worse. So obviously I was using that. When I was using it, I felt really good. When I wasn't on it, I struggled. Yeah, I felt like an absolute shit. And this is because ice has a way of really boosting your dopamine receptors. It makes you feel everything a lot more. When you're on, you're feeling fucking amazing. And honestly, that's probably the biggest selling point of it, and why so many people get addicted to the bloody thing, because it is honestly such a good feeling when you're on it. Everything feels better. Sex, having a conversation, sitting around at 3 a.m. talking shit with the boys, it all just feels fucking incredible. But the downs, and they come real fucking hard, are the worst. So what I found was I started smoking ice on the weekends, and then it turned into an everyday thing. And the reason for that was because obviously I'd smoke all weekend, I wouldn't sleep. So I'd be up for about 48 hours, Friday till about Sunday. And then it'd come to Monday and I'd have to obviously go to work. So this is where I really struggled the most, was with going to work and obviously being really flat, being really moody. At the time I was working for my dad, and I was real snappy. Our relationship already wasn't the best, so ice really became something that I relied on. Honestly, if there's anyone out there that hasn't tried it and is thinking about it, do not. Honestly, do not. It is literally the black hole. You lose everything that quickly. But that's a story for a little bit later on. So I started using ice because I couldn't regulate my hormones. I couldn't regulate my emotions. I was lashing out a lot when I wasn't on it. But when I was on it, I was pretty cool. I was pretty good. But obviously that starts to wear off and the tolerance for these things gets bigger and bigger and bigger, which means you have to have more and more and more. To the point, at one point there when I was about 20-something years old, where I was literally smoking it before I went to bed, and it became a habit rather than actually something that I needed. So from here, we went to jail for a little while. I spent 4 years out of 6, 4 years out of 8 that I was using ice, locked up. And obviously in here, this was a time for me to reflect and realise that, oh fuck, what am I actually really using this for? And at the time I wasn't aware of it, but I knew that I was capable of more. So after the last time I went to jail 6 times, by the way. You think you learn your lesson the first or second time, right? But nah, little old me had to make that same mistake 6 times. I started to then, I guess, look for that external validation elsewhere. So because I wasn't using ice anymore, I moved on to alcohol, cocaine, pills, like I said, womanizing as well. See, these are all addictions, whether it be porn, like I said, drugs, alcohol, womanizing. There's so many different things. You can get addicted to winning, and when you don't have that win, or when someone's not saying, hey, you did really well, then we feel really small because we're not getting that external validation. This is where external validation can really become something that's quite toxic. So like I said, it went from ice into alcohol, other drugs, obviously womanizing. And this then led to a lot of other things, like not being able to hold a real relationship, always looking for the next best thing. I needed something to give me that high or make me feel good. And when I wasn't, I was feeling like shit. And this is where I think a lot of young people struggle, is because they spend the whole weekend partying and they take all these things that make them feel good, right? But it's only temporary and it's synthetic. It's not actual real. Then come to the week and they're miserable, they're depressed, they can't wait for the weekend. We get stuck in that cycle of repeating the same habits, right? So it wasn't until literally probably be coming up to close to just a little bit over a year actually, when I actually really stopped drinking properly. Obviously I've had a few drinks since then, and I've taken drugs a few times, but nothing like what I was doing, which was literally every weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, to the point where I wasn't showing up some days for clients on Monday. I was sick. And any of my clients that are watching this would know what those times were like, because even on the Tuesday and Wednesday when I'd come in, I'd be literally moody. I would be not myself. I would be pretty much brain dead. So this is the cycle that a lot of people are repeating. So I'd do this, I'd fuck a girl, I'd take some drugs, I'd drink some piss, I'd finish up on Sunday, and then the week would roll around, and I'd always go through till about Thursday, hating life, and by Thursday I'd probably come a little bit better. And from there, I'd start the cycle again, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, rolling around 3 a.m. in the morning on a Sunday morning, getting the plate out of the microwave and, around a bunch of people that I've probably never met or barely know. And you know what? It felt like I had it all. It felt like I was really doing well. Until I realized that when I was alone, I was fucking miserable. And I think this is where a lot of people are diagnosed with depression and things like this at such a young age, because they've got the high highs and then they've got the real low lows. And a lot of that comes down to synthetics. Like I said, other things externally to themselves that are causing these. So I quit the alcohol, stopped taking drugs, and this was probably one of the times where I was at the biggest low point in my life, because I didn't have those external things to make me feel good anymore. But what I started to find was that I started hanging around different people, because I wasn't around the same people that were using drugs, that were partying all the time. I thought, I must be the only one that's doing this. I must be the only one waking up fresh on a Sunday. I must be the only one that's getting up and going to the gym and staying in on a Friday night. But it turns out I wasn't. And this is the thing, it comes down to the people you surround yourself with. Obviously, if you're hanging around a bunch of people that, take drugs and party, you're going to become one of those people. It's just what happens, right, with society. We either fit in or we fuck off. And that's exactly what I was doing. But that's the thing. I was in a scene where I really felt like I never actually did fit in fully. It was like I was wearing a mask, okay? Imagine like you've got all these people over here and they're yellow, but I'm pink. And then I've got this yellow mask on, and it felt like, I was cool, I got along with these people. I never really had a problem with meeting people or getting along with people, but it just felt like I didn't belong. And then I started doing some searching from within. I did a lot of work with some friends of mine, some healers, some coaches, and then also did a lot of my own sort of research into, I guess, why I might have been feeling this way. And it all came back to the one thing, external validation, because I couldn't validate myself, which I feel came from a very young age. And I think that a lot of that comes from an abandonment issue that I might have picked up through childhood. When my dad left my mum, I felt like we'd been left behind. He didn't care about the family, and we blamed ourselves as children. We don't know how to process these emotions at such a young age, so we think, is it something I've done? And subconsciously, then we carry that through life. So then when it comes to the drugs and alcohol, you take these things, you feel really good, you have a low, and then you're like, what's wrong with me? Okay, why am I feeling this way? Why do I feel like shit? But really it comes back to that not being able to validate self, not being able to love yourself, truly. This is what I've found anyway for myself, and I'm sure a lot of you guys listening can probably connect with this. So that was the biggest pivotal point for me, was when I actually quit those things and decided that, I need to find other people to start surrounding myself with. And lo and behold, I found, some running groups. I found some other people that were going to the gym that weren't actually taking drugs and partying every weekend. I found a lot of other people that were doing similar things to what I was doing that I never thought actually existed. I thought this was the Australian way of life, was, you work all week, you get pissed all weekend, and then you repeat the cycle. So that external validation only serves you or me or whoever it is for so long. There's a lot of people that never actually have this moment of realization, and they're miserable their whole life and can't understand why. So once you learn to actually self-validate, once you learn that you are enough, and this is a process that I still go through almost daily. I have moments where, I feel like I'm not worthy. I have imposter syndrome. I have all these things that come up. And you know what? Even doing this podcast right now, I was fucking nervous. I was putting it off. And you know what? Like, at the end of the day, you guys are probably going to listen to it and go like, you know what? That took courage. But we don't think about that, right? In our little brain, we think about how we can protect ourselves. So that means not putting ourselves out there. That means not going after that goal. That means not chasing that girl. That means staying stuck in the comfortable bubble we're stuck in, even though we're not fucking happy with it. And that's exactly where I was. And I know that's where a lot of you guys are probably right now as well. So all it takes is that one little change. Yeah, one little thing that you do differently to what you did yesterday. This is something that I struggled with for so long, but I started with something like breathwork and meditation, okay? So I did this every day, even while I was still getting on the piss every weekend. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'd still be doing the breathwork and the meditation, and that gave me some sort of routine. It gave me a ritual that I did every day. It meant that I had to get up a little bit earlier than what I usually would, and then start my day a little bit earlier, which meant I was getting more done and also starting my day in the right frame of mind, which was something that was very valuable for me. And since that is something that I teach all my clients also, is morning rituals, nighttime rituals, because they say win the morning, win the day, right? Well, I feel that that's not 100% true. And I know I've heard this from somewhere, but I can't remember exactly where. But to win the morning, you first have to win the night before, right? Because everything that you do the night before is going to carry over into the next day. So for instance, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday spent trying to recover from a big weekend on the piss or on the gear. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, not sleeping. All of that is going to amount into you trying to recover for those next 4 days, and that's why you feel like shit. So, you know what? You don't have to completely drop everything. I'm not expecting you guys to do that. But maybe drop one night. Maybe pull up on Saturday instead of pulling up on Sunday night, yeah? Don't have that Sunday session. Or if you do, try and pull back on the drinking, okay? Those one small changes that you can make, that one small change that will actually make a big change overall. Because all it takes is that one small change to then start to create a ripple effect of everything else that you do in your life. So when I dropped the alcohol, when I dropped all that sort of stuff, I noticed that I was still womanizing to a certain degree. So you can see how there's sort of a pattern here. It was like, okay, cool, I wasn't getting the love at home when I was a kid, so I've turned the pot, which made me feel like I belonged to something, which then made me turn to ice, which made me feel like I belonged to something even bigger because, you know what, everything was so much more heightened. Then I stopped that, but then I started drinking, and then I started partying, and then I started, and these are all ways that we make ourselves feel better because we feel like shit inside. So then I turned from, like I said, the drugs and the alcohol to womanizing. I was still doing that to a certain degree because it made me feel good. You had that conversation with the boys, and at the end of the day, you're not even doing these things for yourself. You're doing it for other people. That's what I found anyway. It wasn't even about me enjoying it anymore. It was bragging rights to talk to the boys and be like, man, I slayed this chick the other night. It was fucking sick. Fucking she did this, we did that. Fucking rah, rah, rah. And there's actually no substance to it whatsoever. Yeah, like it's literally you're dying inside and you're doing it all for everyone else. And this is why a lot of people make certain decisions in life, while a lot of people get stuck in their ways, because they're worried about what other people are going to say or think, or they're worried about what they think other people are going to say and think, because most of the time people aren't going to give a fuck. For instance, I had to drop a lot of friends. I had to drop a lot of people, or people that I called friends, frenemies, fiends, whatever you want to call them, right? Same. But I dropped a lot of these people, and that was one of the hardest points I went through as well. But what I noticed was that the real ones, the ones that were actually, I guess, there and had my back, were so supportive. They, a couple of times they'd be like, man, come out, come and drink, like, don't be a fucking pussy, all that sort of stuff. But after you set the standard and you set your boundaries, the ones that do care will respect those boundaries and help you stick to them. Whereas the ones that do not will be in your ear trying to twist that little arm of yours. And this is the thing, most of the time, my rubber arm was already behind my back when I was getting twisted. So I'd give in. I'm not drinking this weekend, boom, I'm out. Then I'd go another weekend without drinking, and then I'd drink the next weekend. But it's about those small steps. We're not expecting you guys that want to make these changes to drop everything all at once. You've got to build a plan, and then from there you've got to action that plan. So step by step, trying to make that happen. So then it went from womanizing, because I found myself with a partner, to looking for external validation through my clients. Because by making them feel good, it made me feel good. When I saw them getting results, I connected my success with that. And this is a constant journey, and I'm going to level with you guys 100% here. It's a journey that I'm still on, and it's a journey that never stops. That looking for self-validation is something that a lot of people struggle with all the time. You're going to have moments of weakness. I have days where I'm like, yes, I feel good. You're the man. You're doing really well. But I also have days where I wake up and I'm like, you're not worthy of this life that you're living. Hey, hello. Sorry for interrupting your podcast, but I just wanted to jump on here quickly and talk to you about the must-have personal development tool for 2023. It's just dropped and it's called the Happier, Healthier You Journal. So the best way to describe this is if I think back to when I first started my journey of personal development. There was lots of information out there, but there was no one tool which would help me to make sure I was moving in the right direction. I looked for journal after journal and daily planner after daily planner. I found plenty around gratitude and plenty around business, but nothing around personal development and growth. So from the minute you open this journal, it's going to challenge you to figure out exactly where you're at. Then it's going to help you to set goals around where you'd like to be. Then the Happier, Healthier You journal becomes the tool to bridge that gap. So whether you're just fresh out in the world of personal development or you've been growing for years, this is the must-have tool when it comes to personal development in 2023. To find out more about it, jump onto my Instagram at interchange_coaching, head to the Shopify link, and that'll give you all the necessary details. And if you'd like a cheeky 10% off, use the code interchange10 at checkout. Now back to our podcast. You're only human, right? This is going to happen. But when you're on a high, enjoy that shit. When you're on a low, remember you are going to get up back to that high. And you don't need drugs. You don't need alcohol. You don't need to go slaying heaps of girls to do it. You don't need porn. You don't need all these external things that we use as tools to distract ourselves from actually doing the work that we need to fucking do. And that is the one thing that I struggle with the most. And that's the one thing that I know a lot of you guys are going to struggle with, yeah? Doing the fucking work. Getting uncomfortable. It doesn't feel nice because we're not used to doing that shit. Tell yourself that you love yourself in the mirror. I can guarantee most of you guys will look yourselves in the eye and go, it feels fucking weird. I'm not going to do it. But this is what it takes sometimes to practice that self-love, to practice that self-validation, to practice what we need to do to actually tell ourselves that we're worthy. It's one of those things that it's an unwritten law, yeah? It's easy for us to put all our focus onto other people because when we focus on ourselves, it brings up a part of us that we don't like. But that part of us that we don't like, that discomfort, is the thing that we actually need to work through. And when it comes to the external validation, that's what it's all about. It's you distracting yourself from actually doing what you need to do to become the person you need to become or that you want to become. How many times have you heard someone say, I'm going to do this? A couple of weeks in, it's too hard, right? How many times have you heard someone say, I'm going to stop drinking? A couple of weeks in, they're back on the bender. Probably even yourself. Have you seen yourself go through this situation, right? Because it's one thing to say it consciously, but subconsciously, the brain likes to stay comfortable, right? We are creatures of comfort. Even like I said, even though we're not happy in that comfortable bubble, that's something that our brain will do is protect us to keep us comfortable. We get told from a young age, don't do things that make you uncomfortable. If something makes you uncomfortable, don't do it. That's a lie. All the growth, all the biggest things and all the best things in life come on the other side of that discomfort, right? If you're going to stay in that comfortable little bubble, you're going to stay stuck exactly how you are right now. So don't be afraid to go and do one thing each day that makes you uncomfortable. This is my task that I'm going to set to anyone that's listening, right? If you're trying to make changes, but you feel like you're stuck, it might be you're in sales and you struggle to pick the phone up, okay? My goal to you is to have a conversation with one random person every day. If you feel like you are uncomfortable and you want to start going to the gym, just go to the gym, jump on a treadmill and start to create that habit. Do one thing that makes you uncomfortable every single day because that there is going to challenge you. It's going to create discipline because in our little head, discipline is something that a lot of people struggle with because that's doing the shit that you don't necessarily want to do even though you need to do it, right? So when it comes to building a business, when it comes to losing weight, when it comes to being a parent even, being a parent, that's something that I had to build a lot of discipline around because it's like now I need to make decisions that aren't just serving me. I need to break my habits and do things that don't necessarily serve me or that aren't comfortable to then be a better role model for my son. So every day, the work that you need to do, the easiest way to do this is to make one small change and do one thing that makes you uncomfortable. Because once you can practice getting out of that comfort zone, step by step, it's going to get easier and easier. And having that discipline to do so is going to help you to get you from where you are right now to where you want to be. Now, when it comes to the discipline side of things, a lot of people talk about motivation. Yeah? Motivation is something that comes and goes. When we feel good, we're motivated. We're going to do the work that we need to do, right? But when we're not feeling good, it's like, oh, fuck, I can't be able to get out of bed today. I can't, it's raining. I don't want to go for a run. Dude, fucking discipline is going to stop you from being that little bitch and getting out of that head of yours and actually doing the work that you need to do. So if you can build discipline through different areas of your life, for instance, if it means getting up every morning and having a cold shower, it's not just the cold shower. Going to the gym every day, getting up at whatever time it is to make sure you go to the gym in the morning. It's not just the gym. If you're going out on a weekend and not drinking, it's not just about the not drinking. It's about building that discipline, because that discipline then carries over into every area of your life. And once you can build discipline, those little areas that you were seeking that external validation will start to diminish, because it's like, okay, hey, I need to sit with myself. I need to do the work. And in turn, you're going to start to have changes all through your life. Little things will start to change, right? The people that you surround yourself with, the people that, I guess, are talking to you, the people that you're connecting with, opportunities, right? If you've got a goal and you put it out there and you start doing the work to walk towards that goal, to work towards that goal rather than just staying in that comfortable bubble and thinking about it, each step you take, right? Each step you take is going to help you move closer and closer to that goal, and different opportunities are going to start presenting themselves. So, I guess, for anyone out there that's stuck, let's try that again. For anyone out there that's struggling with that external validation, stop for a second. Take a step back. Look at what you're trying to achieve and ask yourself, are these things that I'm doing serving me? There's actually a really cool exercise that's called the Be Do Have. And for anyone that buys my journal, it's actually a big part of that. It's one of the self-assessments that we do to start with. So in the first column, we're going to split the page up in three columns, right? And if you guys have any questions about how to do this or want a little bit of help around doing it, because it is really, really powerful, then shoot me a message, right? You write the be, the do, and the have, okay? So from left to right, the be is who you're being right now, okay? The person that's stuck in your habits, that's stuck in your ways, that's externally validating, that's doing all the things that are keeping you stuck. Then the have is the things that you want to have, okay? The goals you want to achieve, starting a business, having an amazing relationship, building a house, let's say, or, starting a family, writing a course, becoming a photographer, whatever it may be, right? Anything at all. And then the middle one is the do. And the do is the link between the be and the have, right? So it's the things that you need to do to get from where you are now, which is the be, to what you want to have, which is your goals. So what you do is you start with the have, okay? You write down all the things you want to have. Go real deep with this shit. Make sure these are the 10 out of 10 goals, the things that are really important to you, your Northern Star, right? Your guiding light, the things that are really driving you towards where you want to be. Write those goals down. So it might be, I want to lose 10 kilos before this holiday because at the moment I don't feel comfortable in my own skin. And when I go on this holiday to Europe, in the Europe summer, I want to be able to wear a bikini. I want to be able to wear a bikini, and I want to get noticed by the Greek men in Greece. I want to, whatever it may be, whatever's important to you. Write this shit down. It might be, okay, I want to start a business and I want to make $1 million within the first 3 years. Cool. Write that shit down. Why is that important to you? Okay, you got to give yourself some grounds behind that. So you've got your goal. Okay, that's a 10 out of 10. It is something that you really, really, really desire. Okay, it's your number one desire, your aspiration. Then in the B column, you're going to write down who you're being right now. So are you someone that drinks on the weekend? Write down all your habits, all the things that you're doing, what your food habits are like, what time you get up in the morning, time you go to work, what you do in your spare time. Are you watching Netflix? Are you going to the gym? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? All the things that you're doing right now on an average day. And also let's include on the weekends as well, because obviously the weekends are different to what you're doing now. Let's just say that you are trying to lose weight. And during the week, you're going to the gym. But all weekend, you're on a fucking bender. You're not really eating. You're drinking piss. You're snorting bags. You're doing all that stuff. Then that's probably going to be a contradiction to your goal. So write all that shit down, because that is actually who you are being right now. Once you've got a really precise description of who you're being right now, you're going to come over into the do column, and you're going to write down for each of the points that you wrote that might be a negative or that might be stopping you from achieving that goal. You're going to write the things that you're going to change. So for instance, if you're sleeping until 7:30 and then rushing out the door and getting to work at 8, if you're watching Netflix all night, if you're eating food out, if you're doing all these things, I'm going to use weight loss as an example, but it doesn't matter. If you're trying to change your life, okay, if you're wanting to be your happiest, healthiest self, but you're rushing out the door stressed every morning, you're eating like shit, you're not doing any exercise, you're, like I said, watching Netflix, doing all these negative things that are actually going to keep you stuck, then in the do column, you're going to write, okay, I'm going to get up at 4 a.m., which is going to allow me time to go to the beach, practice gratitude, go to the gym every morning. And then from there, I'm going to have time to have a nice, healthy breakfast and make sure my food is ready for the day. Cool. That's the first habit. Then you're going to write, okay, and at work, you might be someone that's just, I guess, twiddling your thumbs and barely getting by. I'm going to put 100% effort in because I know that when I put the effort in there, it's going to carry over into other areas of my life. And in turn, then I might actually get that raise. I might actually get that promotion. I might actually be able to progress where I'm going. And then in the afternoon, it's like get home from work. Okay, I'm going to go for another walk. I'm going to take the dog for a walk. I'm going to make sure that I'm eating a healthy meal and cooking for myself. And you know what? I'm actually going to invite people around rather than just sitting in my lonesome and watching Netflix all the time. I'm going to invite people around and socialize. Maybe I'll invite someone from work that is someone that I'd like to aspire to be like, so I can start to surround myself with those people. So what you're doing is you're pretty much creating yourself a map, and this is your self-assessment. So this is the shit you're doing that you don't want to do. This is the stuff you need to do to get to what you want to actually have. So if you can do that exercise, it's going to help you to see where you're letting yourself fall short, where yourself, I guess, you're looking for external validation, why you're looking for external validation, and how all those things are going to be letting you down when it comes to actually reaching your goal, becoming the best version of yourself, becoming that conscious human that I know you are all capable of becoming, because that's what this is all about. Yeah, Interchange was forged to show everyone in the world that no matter where you're at, it is never too late to make those changes, yeah? And there are people out there that support you that are just like you, that have probably been through the same journey, that are in a different point now. And the thing is, success leaves clues, right? Where you are right now, I can guarantee that someone, probably even myself, has been there right now. Depressed, using drugs to, I guess, help yourself, drinking every night because you feel lonely. Like, this shit is the stuff that's actually going to stop you from finding that loving relationship. It's going to stop you from loving yourself, going to stop you from becoming the best version of yourself. It's external validation, but it's quick validation, yeah? We've got to do the long-term work. If you want to make a change, it doesn't just happen overnight. You can think about it and think about it and think about it and write your fucking goals down, but if nothing changes, nothing changes. So today, the one thing I want you to take away from this episode is that external validation only serves you for so long. And if that's something that you're struggling with, feel free to reach out. I'm here. I know there's so many other people in the community that can help you with that, because doing these things is going to leave you as an empty human eventually. And I know that because I've been through it personally. Now, before we finish up, quick pump for my Happier, Healthier You journal, which is launching. Actually, no, it would have launched by now. It launched on the 24th of April. So the Happier, Healthier You journal is pretty much the tool that I needed when I first started my personal development journey. So the Happier, Healthier You journal is the one tool that will help you to start that journey of self-development and personal development, because I remember when I started that journey, there was so much misinformation. There was so many videos I went through, so many people that I was looking up to, all these fucking gurus that knew what was what, but all had different things. So the Happier, Healthier You journal is, I'd say, my tool that I want to give to the world to help anyone that's starting that journey to take away all the bullshit, because what it is it's something that's going to help you to get an idea of where you're at right now. You're going to set your goals for where you want to be, and you break it down from there into 1 month and 3 month blocks. Okay, so this journal is something that you'll use specifically for 3 months. It is simple to use, but it isn't easy. It means you're actually going to have to start to do the work, but this is a beautiful thing that's been put together to actually show you how to do that work. So obviously that is something that I'm really, really proud of, because like I said, it's a tool that I didn't have when I started this journey, and I think that this is literally something that could change the world when it comes to personal development and make the journey of personal development available to everybody. So on that note, I'm going to finish up, guys. Thank you very much. I hope you had a good listen. Don't forget to give me a follow, subscribe, and also leave a review. I'd fucking love that. Any comments, anything like that, drop them below. You can find me on Interchange Coaching on Instagram, and you can also find me on Interfit Coaching for the moment until I change that on YouTube. Thanks very much, guys. Peace out.